Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Now, today's video is yet another Poppy Playtime hot takes video. All right, y'all love the first one, y'all love the second one, so we gotta come back with a third one. So let's just go ahead and get started with our first hot take from Giblet79, and they say, "Hot take: Pianosaurus's treatment was necessary because they didn't have time to make a chase scene, especially with more important characters needed to be in the works like Doey and the Doctor." Now, I'm gonna be honest, this is a pretty dumb hot take. So, the character needed to die because they did not have time to make a chase scene. That doesn't make any sense. It wasn't necessary to kill him. They could have had him, just be like thrown away, and then, Doey could have thrown him against a wall, and then Pianosaurus could have like ran away or something, right? They didn't need to kill him, so it wasn't necessary. And then, I guess because they had to work on like Doey and the Doctor, they could have just like delayed the game a little bit more, if they have time to animate Pianosaurus dancing in chapter 5, then they have time to add like a chase scene in chapter 4. So I don't really agree with your hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from GDFB_studios, and they say that hot take: Daddy Longlegs deserves more attention for mob entertainment to add him. I agree. All right, it'd be really cool to see Daddy Longlegs in the game, right? Just imagine him, working for a prototype in chapter 6, kind of chasing you down, you know what I'm saying? Kind of getting mad at you for what you did to mommy, Next up, we have a hot take from Goo Goo Game 7866, and they say, hot take: Catnap should have been a skibbity toilet. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Every video I get some like really, really dumb hot take. And it's like, what are we talking about? Is this like rage bait? Is this like, are you serious? Is this like an actual hot take that you have that Catnap should have been skibbity? It just, what are we doing, bro? Of course, I do not agree with your hot take at all. I don't think I ever will. What are we saying? Why are we saying? Never speak again, please. Next up, we have a couple hot takes from Crafty Corn My Love 123, and I'm only going to pick their second hot take for this video. So they say YouTubers are overreacting of having chapter 6 because not every game has 5 chapters, but they wouldn't blame them because Mob Entertainment is literally giving way too much hype for chapter 5 thinking it's the end. Now, I kind of agree with you, kind of don't. I mean, the same YouTubers reacting, like getting mad that there's a chapter 6, are the same ones who made like thousands of dollars because of Poppy Playtime, so like, there's a couple more $100 from your next video, I think. So complaining that there's now a chapter 6, and it fits story wise too, Now I do agree, like, if I'm getting mad because Mob was hyping up chapter 5 to be the last chapter, I understand that, but getting mad because there's going to be a 6th chapter, you shouldn't really get mad at that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's more Poppy Playtime, it's more story, stuff like that, so it's not really that bad. So yeah, I pretty much agree with your hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from BattleBoy0100, and they say, hot take: Chapter 1 would be extremely, if not completely different gameplay-wise if it were made now instead of when it was made. And yeah, low-key, I would agree with you. This isn't really a hot take, I guess just like a thought, But yeah, I do agree with you, considering most, chapter 1 is like one of the shortest chapters. There's no really speaking, right? The characters don't speak. There's only one main villain. If it was remade today, it probably would have Huggy, and then insert another character here, So I do agree with you. And if it was made today, it would definitely be a different game, gameplay wise. And this isn't really a hot take, but I do agree with it. Next up, we have a hot take from The Phoenix. Pretty much what they say is that they did not think Lily Lovebraids deserves to die because once she pretty much turned into a toy and her mind changed and stuff, she wasn't really Miss Gracie. She was a whole different character. Pretty much a whole new person, pretty much. So they didn't deserve any of the bad things to happen to them. And low-key, I kind of do agree, because if it's if your mind, right, gets erased, if you are let's say a murderer, I guess, and your mind gets erased, and now you're a completely new person, you know what I'm saying? Or you have a completely different mind or whatever. Obviously, the old person was still a murderer and was still bad and stuff, but a new person, technically, isn't really, they didn't really do anything wrong, if you had a murderer, right, and then you took out their brain and put in a normal person's brain, right, the new normal person would still be the body, I guess. I hope you get what I'm saying. You can read the comment on screen. They explain it pretty well. And Loki, I do agree with their hot take. I do agree with it. Now, they also say that she is one of the best characters in the game. And Loki, I don't know. I don't really think I agree with that. Maybe top 10, but then again, there's not many characters in the game anyway. So that's my thoughts on it. We're going to move on to a hot take from Titan TV King Edits, and they say, hot take: Huggy Wuggy is still alive because after he got stabbed, he could be shown still moving a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, people have been saying this a lot, but if you think about it logically, right, sometimes people get injured, fatally wounded, and they're gonna move a little bit after, but they're still gonna die, right? So just because the character moved, a little bitty doesn't mean they're gonna live, right? That's just kind of dumb thinking, right? Now, obviously, in like media and stuff, that's usually what that means. But realistically, right, just because like someone's moving, I guess after they've been stabbed, doesn't really mean they're alive. So I don't know. I don't really agree if you're a hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from Jane Ye 7. And they say, hot take, DogDay was rushed as a character to go against / encounter. He was only in one chapter and he isn't even dead. Now, I don't really agree with your hot take. I'm sorry. Because on one hand, he is dead. Because technically, it's like weird. Because technically the smiling critters, I think, took over his body, possessed him pretty much. Which, if you're getting possessed and eaten alive, you're probably dead, right? And then the fact that he was like only in one chapter, like that's how most characters in Poppy Playtime are. And then saying he's rushed, I don't know. I think maybe, no, I don't even think he was rushed. He was kind of done like most other characters, what I'm saying? Now, if we get to see him, as he was before he got torn up and stuff, then yeah. But I don't know. I don't think he was rushed. And then I think he's dead. So I don't really agree with your hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from Super Soda 137, and they say, hot take, Poppy Playtime's official store's merch feels like a bootleg. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I think that's just because there's so much Poppy Playtime bootleg out there. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to do merch, it's, if there's so much bootleg merch out there, like 10 times the bootleg merch compared to how much merch they actually have, it's kind of hard to make it feel original, because there's so much bootleg out there. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, I do get what you're saying. Some things on the stores feel a little bit like bootleg, but I really do think that it's just because there's so much bootleg Poppy Playtime stuff. Next up, we have two hot takes, but they pretty much mean the same thing. So I'm just going to put them together. One of them is from Serial Design Nation Vid, is I don't know what I want to name myself. And pretty much what they say is that chapter 4 is the best chapter. No, sorry, not chapter 4, chapter 2. I read that wrong. And I do not think chapter 2 was the best chapter. Now, call me crazy, whatever you want. I think it's the worst chapter, which you might be at my throat for this one, but I do not. I think it is the worst chapter. Now, that doesn't mean I think it's bad. I just think it's lacking compared to the others, right? In my ranking, it would probably be chapter 3, chapter 1, chapter 5, chapter 4, and then chapter 2. Maybe. So, yeah, I don't really think I agree with your hot take. I don't dislike Mommy Longlegs as a villain. I just don't like her that much. And then, this chapter really felt like they were experimenting, because if you go from chapter 1, pretty different, and chapter 2 to chapter 3, it's also pretty different, right? It's kind of like a little transition point, because chapter 3, 4, and 5 are pretty similar, but chapter 1, 2, and 3 are all pretty different. So I feel like chapter 2 was really a transitioning chapter, which is why I don't think it's too good, but it's also not terrible. It's not bad at all. So that's my thoughts on your hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from Mr. Non-Existent. They say, hot take, for Prototype was introduced perfectly since Lily was hinting at his reveal when talking about the special guest, hyping it up, and it made sense for Poppy, the player, and Kissy to be tied up and unable to defend ourselves. And Loki, I do agree with your hot take, all right? I mean, we all knew, all right, when we were doing the parts in chapter 5, when she kept saying, oh, the special guest is arriving, we all knew it was the Prototype, right? The build-up, I think the build-up was insane, right? And then, here he comes, the red smoke, him opening the door, that's just aura, right? That's peak. That is literally peak. And I think it's, perfect. I don't think they could have done a better job of introducing the Prototype. So, like the full Prototype. So yeah, I agree with your hot take. Next up, we have a hot take from Blue Vader 113, and they say, hot take, Mommy Longlegs should have had a train chase instead of the Prototype. Now, I kind of agree and also kind of don't, because I think they both can have a chain chase scene, right? I think Mommy, like now you mention it, like I really do think Mommy Longlegs would have been really cool, in like the chasing, right? Like you're leaving the factory, Mommy Longlegs comes up, you defeat Mommy Longlegs, right? And then, Poppy's like, oh, I gotta betray you now because I don't think you can leave the factory or something like that. I feel like that would have been cool. But instead of the Prototype, I don't really agree with that because the Prototype's train chase scene was peak. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Next up, we have a hot take from Ponoda first, and they say hot take for Prototype is scarier than Catnap. Now, I'm sorry, I don't think scarier. I think on par with Catnap, right? Because I think Catnap as a whole is scarier, but like the Prototype, pretty much pre-chapter 5 Prototype is scarier than, well, no, not really. I think the Catnap is scarier than the Prototype, right? Because the Prototype has aura, he has like a presence, but in fear factor, right? I do think Catnap is a little bit over, all right? if this was on a tier list, Catnap would probably be S tier, and then a prototype would be A tier, right? But it'd be really close. So I don't really agree with your hot take, but like I said, they're really close. Next up, we have our final hot take for the video, and it's from Teddy Bear Treehouse Big White VW. And they say, hot take, you need more subs, and I agree. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. If you have any hot takes of your own, go ahead, leave them down in the comments. Appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully I could see you in the next one. But in case you don't do that, in case I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.